Hey everybody. This week we watched the F.A.T. documentary, and for a documentary that's over 30 years old, it's still surprisingly powerful. I enjoyed particularly how the instructor at the front of the class um, basically made it so that all of the people in the room who are taking part would have a first-hand experience of what it's like to be a learning disabled child. Um, I think that things like that should definitely be more prescribed throughout the school systems because it's one thing to be sympathetic towards a child and try and help the child. It's another thing entirely to actually know what kind of experience they're having. And if you can be empathetic to the children, you're halfway there, but there's still going to be that disconnect that you know that they need help, but maybe logically you'll understand it, but you're not really going to understand it emotionally or cognitively. You're not going to be able to effectively put yourself in their shoes because you don't have those same experiences. There are a number of teachers and other professionals that I know who can actually do that. Not necessarily in the field of teaching, but I have a friend that I grew up with who had a very severe dyslexia, and she turned around and was able to do something that many people in her own family didn't think she would be able to do. She was able to go on and get a master's degree in biology, and she actually oversees the Denver Zoo now. A lot of the things that were spoken about were really highlighting how the instructors react to these students. They expect the same things out of LD students as they do everyone else, which on the face of it doesn't seem like it would be a negative statement, but then when he goes into depth about how they're processing information differently, how it takes them longer, how there are different aspects that the child is going to focus on, it makes more sense that yes, you can expect the same things from a learning disabled student, but you should not expect them to be able to pick up the context within the same frame that you were giving to your non-LD students. It makes a lot of sense to illustrate this to the individuals in that room because it really highlights how these children struggle and how it is for them every day. And it makes it a lot easier to take a step back and realize that the way you deliver a particular lesson plan may not necessarily take into account that you will most likely have an LD student in your class. And again, I think that workshop that they put on should be something that more teachers go through. Like I said, it's a 30 plus year documentary and it's still very powerful. I think that if more instructors were put in that same particular position, it would be a good step in the way to get them to actively look over their own lesson plans, plan for the LD student, and that's something that we should do anyway because even if by some rare chance you don't have a diagnosed LD student in your class, that doesn't mean you don't have an LD student. They may have thus far just escaped detection. So having that kind of knowledge and that kind of planning ahead of time is really what being an instructor is all about. Because you don't want to reach the majority. You don't want to reach the best. You want to try and reach everyone in that class, no matter what their disabilities, no matter what things may be holding them back. It is your responsibility to try and help them to the best of your ability. And I think this documentary shows exactly how things like that can be done.